Oh, we're finally doing this, are we? Because I was going to make a sandwich. Okay. Let's do it.
Welcome to Mojo Plays, and today we're taking a look at 10 upcoming games that may already be doomed to fail. Trust us, we would love for every video game to be good, but these ones are showing some major red flags.
This is your legacy.
Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to Mojo Plays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Gothic Remake.
What's your story? Why'd they throw you in? Look, usually I'm the guy who gives the Greenbloods the rundown. But a rock slide cut us off from the valley, so I have other things on my mind right now.
It's always cool to see old and obscure IPs get resurrected with remakes to reintroduce themselves to new audiences. But in the case of Gothic, things are looking really rough. For starters, this game has seen way more cinematic trailers than gameplay throughout its entire marketing cycle. That's already cause for concern. But when we tried out the demo for ourselves, it became a lot harder to have faith in this product. Granted, this was just a demo. We get that. The thing is that it was so boring and dragged on for so long with not a lot to do. If the final game is going to wind up as slow-paced as the demo, a lot of players are going to dip. Be prepared for a vocal minority to start claiming, it gets good after 14 hours. Bruh, no.
Have you ever wondered why the formation of the barrier went out of control? I know the other mages haven't, but I'm not like the other mages.
Terrifier, the ARTcade Game. In the modern age of gaming, it's almost no surprise to see a horror movie or TV series suddenly get a video game adaptation. For Terrifier, it was a welcoming announcement considering how great the second and third movies were. But in came the question, what does Terrifier even look like as a video game? Well, we got our answer, and it's not looking good. After playing the demo that is currently available on Steam, we're feeling like Terrifier the ARTcade Game is gonna wind up being the most uninspired beat-em-up since Double Dragon 4 back in 2017. Nothing here feels satisfying to do. The sound design is pitiful, Viscera is lacking, which is weird to say considering how graphic Terrifier is, and the combat is more bare bones than Art's Victims. With the release date just around the corner from the time we record this video, we have to ask what went wrong here. Code Violet. If you were hoping for one last original horror game to appear before the end of 2025, Code Violet is that last outing for you. Unfortunately, it's not shaping up to be a good PS5 exclusive outing. Tell us, how do you list a game's release date and not include any screenshots or videos? There is gameplay to watch on the official PlayStation YouTube channel. Alas, it's not doing the game any favors. The demo shown was mostly just going into empty rooms, picking up items, and moving some objects here and there. For what little combat was shown, it's just your run-of-the-mill survival horror game. The only thing different between Code Violet and the big hitters is that Code Violet just seems to be doing the bare minimum here. We just hope that we're wrong when the game drops on December 12th. Paranormal Activity, found footage.
Let's have a look. Carbon monoxide. Or some kind of leak.
Yeah, but, I mean, you'd be feeling like this too.
For those unaware of their existence, DreadXP is a games publisher that has helped put out some amazing horror titles, specifically ones that exude the vibes of retro horror games. Well, in February 2024, DreadXP put out a teaser for their next biggest game, a game set in the Paranormal Activity franchise. Look, DreadXP has some remarkable games in its portfolio, between White Knuckle, Amanda the Adventurer, and My Friendly Neighborhood. But who in the year 2025 is begging for a video game based on found footage style horror movies that don't get scary until the final 5 minutes. It's an even more confusing venture to invest in when Paranormal Activity started floundering the second that we saw the second movie. We just pray Dread XP has something really unique here. They usually do, but this is a licensed game to really worry about. Fable.
The world is filled with stories of legendary heroes and treacherous villains.
Much like Dread XP, we have nothing against Playground Games. You want a good racing game? The Forza Horizon series are some of the best racing games you could ever play. They know their stuff. But when it comes to making a fantasy RPG, like say a reboot of Fable, well, we got questions for project management because this is such a mismatch between developer and IP. Even if you ignore that aspect, you cannot negate the insane amount of time that Playground Games has been working on this. Fable's reboot was leaked way back in 2018 before it got an official teaser in 2020. It has been in development for years and years and years. It doesn't help that some reports have suggested periods where development faced severe troubles behind closed doors. Do we even need to mention Xbox's awful streak of new releases over the last 5 years? It's bad, man. And as a Fable fan, I'm worried about this.
I'm going to fix it, this place. And no one is going to stand in my way.
Prince of Persia, the Sands of Time Remake. This could have been such an easy win for Ubisoft. A remake of the best Prince of Persia game ever made, the one that helped birth Assassin's Creed. Slam dunk. At least that's what we thought until we saw the game. Fans made sure Ubisoft knew they were vehemently pissed about the horrendous visuals, so much so that it actually prompted the company to delay the game. But when that new release window was approaching, Ubisoft began refunding people for their pre-orders with no new release window given. Ubisoft swears development is going great, but here's the problem. Since all of this went down in 2020, 2021, Sony has figured out PS2 emulation for PS4 and PS5, while Nintendo has begun putting out GameCube titles on the Switch too. So, at what point do you just cut your losses and re-release the original game? That really might be your best direction, honestly.
I brought this on us.
You are brave and good.
Don't let go!
Spellcasters Chronicles.
Where past, present, and future entwine. Where the gods once shaped the fate of man and empires.
In case you've never heard of this title, this is the newest online PvP game coming to you from the minds behind Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls. Care to guess what our issue is with this? Yes, Quantic Dream, the studio known for making interactive movies, is entering the live service space with their own competitive third-person shooter. Look, we're all for studios trying new things, but Quantic Dream is in such a weird position that it makes this pivot seem really strange. In the 7 years since Detroit Become Human, the studio has been toiling away on their own Star Wars game, which we have only seen a teaser of. So is Spellcasters Chronicles a simple distraction, or a desperate attempt to bring in more revenue? Whichever way you see it, something feels very off here. Very, very off. Dissidia Duellum Final Fantasy.
光の導きを信じよう。
みんな、頑張ろう。
逃がさぬ。どいたどいた。
Good news, everyone! Dissidia Final Fantasy is coming back! Bad news, though. It's a mobile game. And yes, the news gets worse. It's a mobile game that is going to reuse the 3v3 format of Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. For those unaware, NT was released in 2016 and failed to meet the expectations of OG fans. On top of the messy UI and microtransactions, NT was oversimplified in its controls and mechanics, a drastic departure from the complexities of previous games and how each character functioned. It wound up making NT insanely boring to play, and with Duellum reusing the formula, we have a feeling Square Enix is just gonna make the same mistakes it made way back then. Halloween.
A quiet town, just like hundreds of other small towns all across America. A town just like yours.
We're trying so hard not to be down on all these multiplayer titles, but there are so many developers that are setting themselves up for failure. Ilphonic and Gun Media are next, as they're struggling to make a dent in asymmetrical multiplayer horror. Ever since Friday the 13th, the game had its plug pulled, both companies have struggled to capture lightning in a bottle again, with flops like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Predator Hunting Grounds, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. All of these games went through 12 to 18 months of post-launch support, which you could almost barely call that at the bare minimum level, before being completely abandoned by both the publisher, developer, and the player base. The frustration has grown amongst the community to the point where many are just flocking to Dead by Daylight now. And from what we've seen of Halloween, we can already tell the balance is going to be absolutely abysmal. Don't be surprised when bully squads begin popping up 2 days after launch. And finally, Game of Thrones: War for Westeros.
You may think you know how the game is played.
There is a really hard truth that Warner Brothers just doesn't want to seem to accept. Yes, an open world game set in the world of Game of Thrones does sound cool, had it been made back when the show was popping off. But here's the thing, ever since the last 2 seasons took a nosedive in quality, there hasn't been much reason to be excited for anything related to Game of Thrones. Even the new show, House of the Dragon, is already showing signs of brand fatigue in frustrated fans. So, War for Westeros is coming in at a really bad time and might be way too tardy to the party. If it does launch and it turns out as mid or awful as we can see it going, all of the blame is going to be on WB for not getting this ball rolling on sooner.
Game of Thrones. War for Westeros.
Is there an upcoming game that you're really concerned about? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Mojo Plays.